Chris Hazoffel with the Indian Head Agricultural Research Foundation led a study to determine the nitrogen response of blackstrap dry beans. The trial was supported by the ministry's ADOPT program. The trial was also conducted in 2020 at 4 agri-ARM sites located all within the black soil zone. These were Melfort, Yorkton, Indian Head, and Redverse. You may ask, why are we trying to apply high rates of nitrogen to a legume crop? Why not just inoculate it? Well, it goes back to a study led by Gary Nadowich with ICDC in 2019. We tried a number of inoculants and nothing worked. None of the plants really produced any nodules, or if they did, they were no better than the uninoculated check. It would appear that there are no reliable inoculants available for blackstrap dry beans. The limited number of acres and the potential varietal specificity of inoculants makes it very unappealing for companies to develop inoculants for this crop. In other regions, producers, they'll just apply nitrogen to dry beans when options for inoculants are lacking. But how much nitrogen should be applied to blackstrap dry beans in our region? Well, that was the question we set out to answer. The rates of nitrogen investigated were based on soil plus fertilizer nitrogen. The background level of soil in the unfertilized controls were 25 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare at Indian Head and Yorkton, and 50 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare at Melfort and Redverse. The 45 kilogram nitrogen per hectare rate was skipped at Melfort and Redverse because, while the unfertilized control was already at 50 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. However, nitrogen rates were increased incrementally at all sites until 165 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare was reached. Here are the yield responses for blackstrap dry beans to increasing N fertility at all 4 locations. Apart from Redverse, which is the gray line at the top, yields were well below average due to drought at the remaining sites. At Yorkton, for example, the best yield was 800 kilograms per hectare. In contrast, Yorkton produced 2,000 kilograms per hectare the previous year. Despite the poor growing conditions, the beans were highly responsive to added nitrogen at 3 of the sites, with linear responses. These sites were Redverse, Yorkton, and Melfort. Beans at Indian Head were less responsive to added nitrogen, with yields peaking just after 75 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. It's probably unwise to make any conclusions regarding the optimum rate of nitrogen, as 3 of the sites had linear responses. However, the beans do appear quite responsive to added nitrogen, even during less than optimum growing conditions. We hope to receive funding for this project again in 2021. Looking at these results, perhaps we should increase the range of applied fertilizer. We didn't measure all the individual yield components, such as pods per plant or beans per pod. However, the yield increases were at least partly due to larger seeds. In this figure, you can see the 1,000 seed weight for each location is increasing with added nitrogen, albeit not necessarily in the same way. So that's it, short and sweet. If you want to know more about blackstrap dry beans or our past work with this crop, click on this link, and I'll see you in the next video.